and welcome to Luna View. I'm your host, John, and this is the family farm. So, we've moved along a few years from the 60s, maybe early 70s, and we want to start talking about the house, which I haven't dwelled on at all. That's a fraction of the size of the house we lived in. In fact, we rented the other half out all the time we were there. We only lived in half the house. It's a monstrous house. R.P. Whitney had a lumber business back in the 1800s, and he built this house around the late 1860s, early 1870. And we were a family of five. The other side of the house is usually two to four, people. Yeah, it's a big house, and they redone it all in the '90s, late '90s, and it still stands today as original, as a one dwelling household as opposed to two. But yeah, that's a little bit about the house. And then, we'll start in the cars of the 70s. All cars are about that color. There's a 72 and a 76 Ford LTD. Uh, and both approximately the same color. Uh, Dark green in 81, we had a Crown Victoria. The truck, Dad never traded in the old truck. It's just kind of wore out on the farm. But he did get 71 Ford, brown color. And 6 months later, he got a 72 Ford, brown color. The first one, the engine just wasn't cutting it at all, apparently. So, yeah, he traded that in. And then along that time, we got our first new tractor. And of course, it's not this tractor, but it was an International 434. And it came with a little snowblower on the back, and Dad used that in the wintertime because of it's a gas engine tractor, around 43 horsepower. And it was easy to start in the wintertime, and he went up and down the road and blew a lot of driveways out at that time. Something he did for a couple of years and stopped. He just didn't think that was a lot of fun, I guess. And also, along this time, we talk about Dad's career outside the firm. He became a board member of the co-op, Northumberland Co-op, where we sold all our milk to, and then became president in the early 70s, and took that the co-op organization through some pretty hard times. The dairy burnt one night, completely to the ground. It was a total loss, and he was a major part of the reorganization to get a new dairy built over there in Miramichi. And yeah, that was his term as the president of the co-op. It was a lot of destroying stuff happened, a lot of hardship, and then a lot of rebuilding. And he took it all through that right up until the early 80s, which he stopped being president of the co-op. Also at this time, there was a section of the barn caved in the wintertime. Actually, it was the old section, so let's just say this old section, and the new parts he built didn't cave in. But in the wintertime, the snow got a bit heavy, and yeah, the top part of that area is just crunched in. And it didn't fall too far, like a couple feet, actually. That was it. But there was, of course, the haymow, was supporting it. After that. So that was all rebuilt in the wintertime. I remember I was only 7 years old then, the winter 72, 73. And we made the paper and the whole bit. So it was an event. And also around that time, and since Dad was doing well, he was buying new stuff. I mean, we also had a hay bob that came along about that time too for raking and tedding. And they had a crew of people that came here for haying in the summertime. And they came around 12:30 in the afternoon, and they worked usually until we got the hay in that night and stuff. But this summer, the crew that was coming along, they liked to drink a bit of beer in the mow and out in the pasture there when we were loading up the wagons and stuff. And Dad was baling. He liked to keep on the baling. But they had to take their pee breaks, you know. They had to, and Dad thought one too many pee breaks too much. That's enough. No more pee breaks. And so they all quit on him. But basically, they said they went on strike. And I remember them all gathering around here. It's just, you know, there was about I think 8, 9 of them, and they were all done. They were all done. You know, we want her. It's too hot and blah blah blah. You know, hate this time. And Dad said that's perfectly fine. If you like to strike, I appreciate you get off my property and strike on down the road there wherever you want to strike. But you're not doing it here. I'll call the cops. So they all left there quite peacefully. That was fine. But Dad just jumped in the old brown truck there, went on down the roads there, picked up a couple young lads there off a small beef farm, and they were great workers, and they were the Keating boys, and they came along, and them two boys, kind of done with the 9, weren't doing, let's put it that way, and I helped out as much as I could, driving the tractor back and forth from the field to the haymow, and keeping them boys working. But yeah, we came through that quite easily, actually. The next day, about 4 of them came back, and then that's all Dad hired and said, no, that's it. We'll work with this. He said, I saw what 2 really good guys can do, so I'm only taking 4, and that's it. So from then on, we only hired 1 guy after that year. My brother and I took over the jobs of, you know, piling the hay or driving the tractors and all that stuff. We were getting old enough to do that stuff, so we took over from the older boys. I'm sorry about staring at that barn all the time, but barnyard chats, you know, what do you want to look at? You know, that lime green car over there? Because Dad got deals on them lime green cars because no one else wanted them. They say, I can get a good deal on that car. Yeah, I did. Yeah. I had to drive the 76 one when I came of age and stuff like that. So, yeah, I had the lime green car in high school. Quite the excitement. Anyway, I want to tell you at this time the inside of the barn was all updated. We had a full pipeline system that was changeable to move to the milking parlor in the summertime and then change back in the inside for stall milking in the wintertime. We also had a new milk house, a new big bulk tank, new milkers and stuff like that. So things were coming along really good. And he also, about a year after that first new tractor, the second new tractor came along, and it wasn't green, I'm sorry to say, but it was a red International 454 diesel with the loader on it. 50 horsepower tractor, which is what this is a 50 horsepower tractor. Yeah, he just wore out the International 350 and needed a better loader tractor. And he went diesel as well, mostly because of the power it had as opposed to the gas and stuff. And he only wanted the gas tractor, I guess, for starting in the wintertime for snow blowing, but he really got tired of that quick. So it was diesel from here on in. Actually, 454. We had another 54 in a couple of years after this without the loader. Just something to place you know, the tractors for moving stuff from the fields to the barn and hauling on the nurse spreader and stuff. So that is taking us to the mid 70s here. I'm going to look through my notes here because I have to make sure I got everything that I wanted to mention on this episode. And I did. That's everything. About this time, my dog did die, Chris. He got hit up the road there by a car. Of course, as I said in the previous episode, I got his pup. It wasn't really right, and Dad done away with it. And we got another dog. I started naming these dogs Snoopy, and that dog got hit by a car. And then we had another dog named Snoopy, and yeah, that's the one that was tied up here. And well, wasn't tied. Yeah, he was tied up, but he ran away anyway. Broke away and ran away. And that was the last dog I had ever since, you know, I had my, other dog in the past years there named Mash, but yeah, it became more of a something. I was going more into 4-H and caring of the cows and animals and stuff like that, and being very interested in that part of it. Here I'm staring at the barn again. So I had calves for 4-H and raised them and showed them exhibitions and different shows, and became quite interested in that. We had a pig that we started getting every year for our own consumption, and every year I'm named that pig Arnold. So kind of became, my pet dog. I taught it to sit, to come, to do all kinds of things. So it was my fun thing to do, besides milking, yeah, do something else. I appreciate y'all joining me for this little story. There will be one more episode to kind of close it on up on how this farm came to an end by us, and then why we sold out and moved on and stuff like this, and kind of what's here today. All right, take care, all. I'll see you in the next episode.